back to my channel, Just Me, Just Tony. And this is going to be part two of my story, moving from Atlanta to Maryland. So, in my previous video, I talked about, just the obedience and how starting my journey to moving here. So, fast forward, I got the job. I started in the middle of May, and I had 2 weeks to move from the day I got my offer to the day I had to be there was 2 weeks. 2 weeks, okay. So I'm trying to figure out because at that time I was still in my lease, so I broke the lease in my current apartment. Still had no idea where I was going to go, so I didn't have an apartment lined up in Maryland at all. I didn't even know where I was going to live, specifically like what area. I knew eventually where I want to be. Like I know where I want to be now. Excuse me. But I didn't know where I wanted to be. And so I was just kind of like, okay, well, this is where I'm going to be working. So I at least need to be, you know, at least 15, 20 minutes away, the furthest, because I'm new to the city and I didn't want to drive. Like Atlanta, I know Atlanta. I know the traffic. I know back roads. I know how long it's going to take, to get from um, North Atlanta to East Atlanta, from the west side to the south side. Like I know, right? That's my home. But I don't know Maryland. So anyway, I settled on an Airbnb, and it was important when I was looking for Airbnbs that it was an extended stay. Now, some Airbnbs, you all, I'm sure some of you or most of you are familiar with, booking Airbnbs and whether it's going to be one house, whether it's going to be one room, so on and so forth. And I settled for a room and an extended stay. So, meaning I could extend it as long as I was just in communication with the host. I'm going to need this room for an additional week. I'm going to need this room for additional 2 weeks, so on and so forth. And she was really great about it. Now, that Airbnb experience, however, was interesting. So I was in a smaller city. I wouldn't live there. Just let me just say that I wouldn't live there. I wouldn't choose that to be where I would buy my home. But that Airbnb was a very interesting place. Everyone was at first quiet. It's always it's I don't know what it is. I guess it's just a comfort thing where people, put on, a good face when they first meet you, and it's just kind of like polite. Everybody's nice and whatever. Um, but then you settle in, okay? And the walls were really thin. So I heard a lot of arguing and I heard loud conversations on the phone. And, the backyard was, right. I was right in the backyard. So I can hear people in the back talking loud. And it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. And, they're on their phone like there's no one sleep. Then there were like bugs in the bathtub. So, needless to say, I was in the Airbnb for about a month and a half, 2 months maybe. And I immediately was like, okay, I know what my check is going to look like. I know what I can afford now. And, the cost of living here, it's one thing to just, research, but it's another to actually, live there and really get a grasp and understanding of what it really is going to look like. So, anyway, finally, I got my apartment. Now, back home, thank God for my friend Kelly because she helped me pack all of the rest of my belongings and my things. and she helped me put all of my stuff in storage. Even when I was in Maryland, she was back in Atlanta making sure that my stuff got put in storage the proper way. And God, I just bless her. I thank God for her every single day. Hey, Kelly girl. So calling her and I'm like, hey, I just got my apartment, and mind you, my apartment I got sight unseen. So I was on, apartments.com or whatever the apartment thing is, and I'm looking for apartments, and I'm like, you know what, forget this. This isn't working. And so finally I found um, where I'm staying now, and it was just really easy, real simple. Just book your appointment, see if they have any availabilities. I'm like, okay, I see the floor plan. That floor plan is available. I want to go see it and be done. Unfortunately, when I came to my appointment, the room or the apartment was not available. So I could only see an apartment that was on the same side as my current apartment. And so the it was a heck of a lot smaller. And I'm like, I'm like, so you promise this is gonna be bigger? Like it was a one bedroom apartment. It was very small, yeah, and I mean like matchbook small. And I'm like, asking the leasing agent, like, are you sure? You promise this is gonna be bigger? And she's like, yeah, girl, I promise. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. So same day, put down a deposit, got approved, all of that good stuff, and I moved in probably uh, was it 2 weeks later, maybe? And so a good 7 days, a good week or so of me, you know, finally getting the keys to my apartment, I'm sleeping on the floor. Like I have no furniture. So I have a blanket, a pillow, and 3 suitcases of clothes. And I am sleeping on the floor, no chair, no nothing. And it was just, I was the most grateful. And it also was very much so something that I feel that was a manifestation of what I wanted. I script a lot, meaning I write down what I want to experience as though it is happening in present time. And I'm, going through my notebooks as I took all of my notebooks, all of my journals, and I'm reading through my journal, and I read a script that I had written about the next place that I wanted to live. And y'all, I promise you to the T, it had everything that this apartment has. And so although yes, I wanted it, it had to be in alignment with what God wanted for me. And you're gonna hear me talk about God because that is, that's him. Okay. But it was also God kind of downloading to me what he wanted me to experience. And it was all in steps that I had to take. So I get into my apartment, and then maybe, like I said, I was in the apartment for a week without any furniture, sleeping on the floor, back hurting, neck all jacked up. And so I finally go home. My mother and my brother help load my U-Haul truck, and my cousin and I drove 10 hours from Atlanta to Maryland to furnish my apartment. So um, that was a that was a journey. That was a big, big, big task for me to, be here. Very uncomfortable. Very, very. There was nothing comfortable about that Airbnb. There was nothing. Being in your own bathroom and being in your own space is like a beautiful thing. And taking yourself out of that on purpose is a very scary situation. You hear stories about people going missing, and so I had to be in consistent communication with my friends about what was going on with me. The encouragement was top tier. The encouragement and just the outpour of support was what kind of kept me going. Now, at that point, I did start to tell people that, I had moved to Maryland and I had started a job. My family knew, um, and they were really supportive of my move. And once you allow people back into your life or back into your situation that is now different, confidence is key. Making sure that you know that you made a decision that was best for you, and you know that it was a purposeful move or transition or act or whatever it is that you're doing. As long as you're, standing firm in your own decision, it keeps doubt away from you. It keeps people from like nitpicking and saying little things that kind of chip away at what you know to be, or what you feel to be the right thing for you to do. So by that time I had moved in, I'm all settled, and my commute is shorter. My commute is at least 5 to 10 minutes away from my job. So you couldn't get any better than that. So, um, really enjoying where I lived, and it's quite different. I don't hear birds, and that was driving me crazy. I'm like, I don't hear no birds. There's no trees around. So, evidently, I'm, in the city. So it was a big transition for me. But like I said, I had a great deal of support, and once you have that, you hold on to it and you cherish it. And then this was also a time for me where it was shedding. There were some things, there were some habits, there were some people, and there were some ideologies and some thoughts that I had to, you know, stay clear away from. I had to get rid of. I had to say goodbye to. It was a hard thing. So I'll stop my video here and kind of talk about the transition in that piece where I'm having to really release a lot of, you know, old habits and people that were no longer um, fitting the direction that I wanted to go into in my personal life. So, thanks for watching, and stick around for the next video.